And we're live.
Oh.
Hi.
Hello. Well, thanks for the warning, Matt.
Oh, well, we were going.
We're sitting here and not getting any feedback from our producer.
Sorry, I was just fixing something up.
No, the
But we're
5,
good
4, 3, 2, 1.
I'll do the 3.
Yeah, now you're on the
You
air.
can just go on.
Hey, everybody, I'm Dan Nedelko, and welcome to episode 67 of Live at the Hive.
I'm Stacey DeSantis.
Matt Stefanich.
And we are ready to rock. So for the first time in a while, you might have seen us go live about 15 minutes ago with episode 47. So that was a complete lie. But what we were doing was resolving our multi-streaming. So today, for the first time in, 20 episodes.
Yeah.
The last time we went live was 47. Now we're on 67. So in 20 weeks, this is the first time that we've been able to get everything going to YouTube, Periscope.
It's not sending. Dan. It's not sending.
What's not sending?
The stream. We're not live on Facebook or anywhere. It just it's circling on sending on restream.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Update all. Live stream says we're streaming perfect.
Yeah. And what does Restream say?
Nothing. We're not even live on Facebook. It says sending data. ... Let's see.
Sending data.
So it's not on Facebook. I didn't get a notification or anything.
Streaming monitor. That's going. Sending data. Sending data. Sending data. Let's see if that's going. We went live before.
Yeah. Okay, let me see.
So this was going. Periscope was going fine.
Still nothing from Facebook. Oh, that's weird.
Let's turn that off again. Sending data. Nothing?
Nope.
How does it work before?
It worked for the. I will say it was originally set up for your birthday.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Hey, I'm new.
Okay.
There
Yeah, but
we
it
go.
says Dan Nedelko live, so you can go and edit that title.
Yeah.
And switch us over.
Cool.
All right, so we're live.
We're live now.
Now we're live.
Now
Okay.
we're live.
Producer Matt
Wow.
once again dropping the ball on technical
Oh,
issues.
it's live stream. It's live stream.
It can get a little bit messy when we're restreaming. That's true.
It's all good.
Are we flipping? There we go. Hey everybody, I'm Dan Nedelko. Welcome to Live at the Hive, Take 4, episode 67.
Woo. Hey, I'm Stacey DeSantis. That's about it.
Matt Stefanich.
Hey Matthew. Yeah, so we were just dealing with a couple of technical issues because we're live on like 5 different channels today. Periscope, apparently we've gone live like 6 times in the last 5 minutes. But I think we've got our technical issues sorted out.
We're all good.
And it does look good. So good stuff. So we've chopped 4 minutes off of the agenda.
Just like that.
So sorry, Nero, we're not going to get to your what's new.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
It's okay. We were saying it could just be an episode on its own, though.
it's okay. I just learned about a Slack channel I wasn't invited to, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind. It's okay. Like I said, what am I? Came up with the thing.
I said it was someone made that for your birthday.
That's
plans,
nice.
So
Hey, Steph. Steph Willis says hi. Hey.
Hey, Steph.
Hello. Okay, so let's just dive right into what's new. What do we got first up?
So I know we were looking at the benchmarks report for social and what kind of engagement each social platform gets, the top hashtags of the social platforms. So yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah, okay. So this is an interesting benchmark study because the first one that really stood out, if you scroll down, you'll see the average engagement rate per post on Facebook is a whopping 0.09%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a little bit scary. It is a little bit scary. And you know what? I think that's been happening. So we were working on a media company with videos back in 2017 and 2018. That was when the guillotine dropped on Facebook, dropping it on a lot of organic reach for Facebook pages.
Yes.
And I think this comes with a grain of salt because if you look the median across all industries, and they used a very big data set here, I think your mileage may vary wildly depending on all sorts of factors. But one of the things is that I think the big driver on that is it's pay to play.
Yeah.
You have to pay for that reach now.
It's true.
Right.
I feel like Facebook too has people. So the difference is like Instagram is, killing it. It's going off the charts. But I feel like with, your thumb and your phone, you can quickly get updated on what's new, what's happening on Instagram fairly quickly.
Yep.
Where with Facebook, it's more digestible content. So it's more content that people don't just skim and see.
Yeah.
They actually want to sit there, click the link, read the content.
Yeah, I mean, if Facebook, it's interesting, right? Because I think if you're looking at post engagement from businesses, you're discounting personal profiles, which is a lot. Is a big part of that. And then it's also excluding, group engagement and how you're doing it, right? I think where I land on these kind of benchmark reports is looking at more of the relative trends as opposed to the actual number.
Right. Yeah.
We've had examples where if you catch the viral wave, I can rehash the same one about that meme. That thing got huge amounts of engagement, double digits, right?
Yep.
Same thing quoted in here is an average email open rate of 2.43%.
Yeah.
Okay, but if I've got a list of 2,000 highly engaged customers, we've had engagements of 40 to 50%.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all kind of relative. But the interesting thing, if you go down to the Facebook posts per day, this one's kind of amusing, is that media companies obviously are slaughtering everybody at like 8.18 posts per day.
Yeah. Sports teams too, but the media wholly.
But it's not giving them any more engagement really. That's the funny thing. Right?
Yeah. And again, your mileage may vary, right? I mean, there's going to be media companies that do really, really well, and a lot that do really, really poorly. So again, it's just interesting to see that the median. I mean, if you took out media, the median across all industries would not be 0.97 posts per day or one post a day.
Maybe 0.5.
Yeah, I definitely I definitely think that you'd have to looking at the posting strategy of engagement, and when you gain engagement, continue to post rapidly thereafter while the algorithm likes you, right?
Yes.
Those are all parts of the strategy. And then the second part of it would be creating, and we're actually launching a bunch of this in the coming month, creating Facebook groups to increase that engagement and kind of move a little bit away from the main news feed and go into things like stories for engagement, right? Because they're not counting that in this stuff.
No.
Right? It doesn't include the stories. And Facebook's been saying all year that story growth is 50% higher than newsfeed growth.
It's almost quality over quantity too, right? Like you can post a lot, but if your quality of content is not there and you're just throwing it out there to see what sticks,
Yep.
it's not gonna resonate with your audience. They're not gonna want to come back. They're not gonna trust the link if it's a clickbait.
Totally.
That type of thing. So
totally. And when we get into what's working today, we're going to talk about creating content experiences versus content, right?
Exactly.
And it's the old. Well, I got the schedule done. And it's like, okay, or I wrote a blog post, like, congratulations.
Yeah.
But we're getting into we're getting into this whole world of content experiences, and this is the old storytelling kind of line.
Exactly.
Right?
It's almost like you have to ask yourself, what do you want your customers to think of when they think of your brand?
Yep.
You know, how does it resonate with them? Not just, you know, from sight, but emotionally as well.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Having a good hook. Matt and I were talking about this last night.
Yep.
Having something creative that catches attention.
Yeah.
Instead of just posting and praying that something is going to look good and it's just got this flat headline, right? The second thing that stands out to me here is the average engagement rate per post on Instagram, which is substantially higher.
Yes.
But this one I also take with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I think you have to. He kind of mentions that through all this, like, these are the metrics, but who's to say? We're still testing and learning, right?
Yeah.
So.
And what does Instagram engagement mean? It means a heart, right?
Yeah.
So if you use Instagram like I use Instagram, it's pretty quick. Like another thing for Instagram engagement, for example, like those likes are good and they're important, but they're also the least weighted of any of those metrics on Instagram.
Yeah.
Just like the reaction is one of the lightest ones. For example, one of the strategies that we've gone into with Instagram to increase engagement is creating 55-second videos that will work in the feed.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And if you get them very quickly within the first few seconds, you can get like really high 70, 80, 90% engagement rates.
Yeah.
Because they're short.
They're snackable.
They're
they're
snackable. And you can increase that engagement rate. So just kind of interesting to see.
I really love Instagram stories right now too, because I know Matt and I have been testing this with a few of our clients where we actually create video content that's a bit longer that somebody wants to digest, but to get them hooked, we create like a 15-second teaser video, put it in Instagram stories, and then have it linked to the story itself. And it's been a great way to boost reach.
Yep.
You know, and get more eyes on it for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. April says, "Tell me a story, Stacey DeSantis," and I replied with, "You mean you want a content experience?"
Well,
how
April,
witty!
I got voted onto the island this week.
Hey, did I tell you guys there's a Slack channel that I wasn't invited to? I'm okay with that though, because I'm confident and independent. And talk to my therapist soon. Instagram posts per day, just to roll through this one, because we could actually spend a lot of time on this one. But the average median across all industries is basically a post every 2 days, effectively, like 0.7 posts per day. If you can possibly do it.
Yeah, and I think
if you get to 3 or 4 a day.
Yeah.
Is Gary Vee talks about this a lot to people. He's got a massive team of people doing this with him and for him. But 3 to 4 posts a day will make a huge difference on the activity on your account.
I agree. And I think making sure that you're not just, again, throwing that content out there, like thoughtfully posting 3 or 4 times a day. So we talked about this last time I was on Live at the Hive, but thinking about your customer journey and when they are going to be looking at their Instagram account. If you know your audience are not morning people, you're not going to give them a 7 a.m. post. But if you know that, you know, like lunchtime's a good time, you know, just try to think of natural breaks that your customers will take.
To a point too, I think like Gary, I know you're talking about Gary Vee, and Gary Vee even says like when you're first putting out content, just focus on your content and push out as much as possible, and don't worry about your engagement rates and things like that, because those will come as you start producing more and more content as you go along. Just because like the first couple videos that you put out didn't really get the type of engagement you want, doesn't mean like to be like discouraged. Like just keep pumping it out.
It's very true. I think people want instantaneous results, and you know, Gary Vee's got a good story, but you know, we can even point to Live at the Hive. We get hundreds and sometimes thousands of views on these lives, you know, and we don't get huge numbers of live viewers, but we know that that's the case. Like that's okay. Yeah. This is a niche kind of a show, but over the long term and the long haul, if you go back a year, you build up those views, you build up the video views, people can come and consume that content, and you wait to build up that engagement. Like you take your time and you do the things that you need to do to get that engagement going.
And what the beauty of that is, when you don't have a lot of engagement at the start, is that's the time that you can test and learn and optimize and build out better content and see what sticks.
Yeah, or go live 6 times while you're testing restreaming to 5 platforms. It's worth it. It's totally worth it.
It's worth that 4 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Okay, so just to jump through this a little bit more quickly, there's some Twitter engagements, the Twitter post per day. It's definitely worth taking some time. The the alcohol industry Instagram hashtags are amusing. Wine Time has the highest engagement.
Instafood, beach.
Yep.
Yeah.
So definitely go for the wine.
It's my
That's the
favorite
takeaway
topic.
there.
Hey, I grew up in Niagara.
Just in a few minutes. All right. So we'll drop this. We'll drop the actual
Link into
the link
chat
to the
there.
full report into the comments here,
Yes.
and we will move right along.
Cool.
Giddy up. This was one you found, Matt, which was
The eMarketer.
Yep.
Yeah. So eMarketer is predicting that digital ads will overtake traditional spending for the first time in 2019. And what I think was most shocking here for me was the amount of margin that they see the difference going by 2021. But at the same time, traditional spend was still kind of over digital throughout 2018. Which I kind of, it
boggles my mind.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was kind of crazy. I was looking through this article too, and you automatically think, okay, well, all this spend's going to go to Google and Facebook. And it's Amazon, right?
Amazon is a monster, waiting in the wings. Like they can release things now and have an instant impact on huge markets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. This is an interesting one because this is actually a chart that comes out every single year, and I've been watching it for like 8 or 9 years, however long they've had it. So to me, it's less shocking because last year it was approaching this.
Right.
But if you were around like 8 to 10 years ago, the rapid rate of the what would be the do you have the chart up there?
I do have the chart.
Oh, you do have the chart. I see that. Yes. Is the astonishing rate at which that growth has happened. Like that's amazing that in such a short period of time, these disruptive platforms are really eating into what you would call traditional. So as an example, advertisers, and you've probably seen this, but YouTube in and of itself is now going towards much more of a video on demand and live television platform.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And like we were talking before, most people watch YouTube now over traditional cable, right? So that makes sense. And I think we'll get to it with a different story, but YouTube's now going to have a different way that we can leverage it, and that's with Google Ads too, right? So, yeah, it's, back when I first started marketing, it was all about print and, brochures and this, that, and the other. And it's just so nice to see that we're kind of moving into the digital sphere because it's not as costly, it makes more sense, if you're going to actually have more ability to target your audience, it's just...
Oh, for sure.
Time,
Well, it's there's interesting dynamics that can come into media buying if you're purchasing media on things like, for example, like billboards are a great example of a technology that is now becoming digital, and it will be completely in a very short period of time. So instead of sending a crew out to put paper up, they're going to be using e-paper, and they're going to be using backlit LED signs that can be remotely managed. But I think what that affords an opportunity for is this kind of smaller consumable ad budget that runs on a PPC model, as opposed to you're going to have your flight up for 30 days and that's going to cost you $45,000 and we'll see how it goes when it's done.
Exactly. And you can optimize in real time. It's measurable. Yeah, makes total sense. But you were even saying too earlier before we actually went live, Dan was mentioning how we've actually been making the transition rather to digital. Even if you go through like a bus stop, the billboard, that's not paper anymore. That's like backlit, and
pretty much everything is digital now. I mean, there's very few areas that are not digital. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. So if you're running ads, or if you're thinking about it, even with a modest budget, it's like check out Amazon. Like, get in on that platform. It's not something that people think of. There's more than just Google, right? There is more than just Facebook. To kind of get to the audience and think about it. If you are selling a product or a service, Amazon is a pretty good place with very high buyer and purchasing intent.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
You're going to get them at the lower end of the funnel when they're in like discovery phases and looking to purchase.
Well, they just make the path to purchase so much easier too. Like with one click, you can purchase, I don't know, the whole series of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't
Danger. Combine that with the wine time hashtag, and you will then be purchasing a lot of.
And you have Stacy's Weekend.
Stacy. Matt goes home and freezes bottles of ice wine.
Hey.
Yeah.
You could have just cracked the bottle around it and turned them into like slushies.
Well, they got to slushies at one point, and then actually one of them thawed out faster than the other. So I don't know. I was saying we have our weekend planned out for us now. It's gonna be drinking all that wine before it goes bad.
Perfect. So we can jump over to the video comes to responsive display ads. Nira, I'm looking at you.
Hey, Nira.
Here, yeah.
So this is a really good development because if you don't know what responsive display ads are, Google released them. There's search display and responsive display ads. And what you can do is you can actually pull your text ads into what are maybe not the most attractive, but they are incredibly highly converting. Display ads on the Google Display Network that also work responsively out of the box, appealing to AMP and then mobile versions of pages. So your coverage increases wildly. Google is constantly optimizing the templates for the highest conversion rates. Again, aesthetically, they're kind of blue and white. There's a few different templates in there. But now what you're able to do, you can see Matt's got you got the slate of the images there.
Yep.
So yeah, you can upload up your images and your text. But now, if you go to the Google page, you'll be able to see, oh, look at Matt from Astrodog Media just joined. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
This is perfect. You can upload your videos into these responsive display ads and actually have video displaying. So this would allow you to get your ads onto the Google Display Network in various areas. You can use placements. You can use all sorts of different targeting options. But they've taken a lot of the hard work out of showing video ads on that network.
It's so much more user friendly, and like when you think about it, consumers, they actually want to see the product in motion. They want to see it being used, and now you can give them that sneak peek, and you don't have to know how to code or do these really complicated, elaborate tactics to make it happen. You can just upload it to YouTube and make it happen.
And if you roll down that page a little bit, you'll see that there's a better responsive display ad with the ad strength scorecard, which is kind of a nice. This is a nice little addition to make sure that you're kind of following the best practices. This doesn't guarantee that your ad is going to be perfect and be successful.
Yeah.
But certainly it's a checklist for you to make sure you're doing everything properly. So yeah, a really good development. That's a new one, and we're definitely going to be launching some of those next week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving right along.
You want to do
Top YouTube channels, please.
Yeah. Let's get into this guy.
So this one, cool. Yeah, this one's a good one. So this is a bit of a fluff piece by Ahrefs on Search Engine Journal. But the good thing is if you're in the digital marketing or the SEO game, SEMrush and Ahrefs are by far, I think, the two best platforms out there. They come at a bit of a cost, but it's worth it. And this piece here, although it does highlight, we'll get into highlighting some of the channels and the strategies and things. But Ahrefs is releasing a YouTube keyword tool and ranking tool into their suite, which is really useful because more often than not, we see these sad little YouTube channels that someone's uploaded a video with a title, no description. It has like 11 views. And it's a video that someone like our friend Matt from Astrodog Media would charge a lot of money and do a very high production value. And it's unfortunate to see these videos that can be very entertaining simply just not attended to on YouTube. Just throw it up and hope to God that it does something, right?
You have to not just put the quality there, but you have to be able to describe it and get that catch, you know, and write that copy to make sure that people understand what they're watching. And and you have to do the targeting and everything else. Like there are a lot of other little steps to it that are really important.
Oh, there's tons. I mean, these YouTubers that are creators, they work very hard.
Yeah.
And they do know what they're doing. There's no doubt about it. But some of the interesting outliers, and I know that this was just going around the office today because it's really weird, is ASMR for the second year in a row continues to dominate as the #1 search term on YouTube. So
I don't understand it.
I always forget what it stands for again.
It is Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response.
Oh, there it is. It's right there. I couldn't read the title. So this is where someone will go like this and go like this.
Oh.
And they stare at the screen. It's really weird. It's like the weirdest thing.
Oh, there we go.
Oh man.
There we go. That's
Probably the weirdest live at the
It's the that's the honeypot version of ASMR.
Yeah.
Anyways, we won't get into ASMR because there's a bunch of videos that were floating around the office that will both shock and disturb you all at the same time.
Yeah.
And we don't really need to talk about that stuff.
Sure.
But you can see that. So not even talking about that, but if we go down, you'll see that there's the overall top 10 US search queries with the volumes include a lot of YouTube famous people like PewDiePie and Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Music has one. And then world queries as well. But ASMR is kind of one of those things. Now, you're not going to be able to play in any of these search results. There's no way.
No.
But when you do look at your YouTube channel and your growth, understand the first thing is that like 90% of all YouTube views are driven by search.
Yeah.
Right? And then related videos are next up. So doing the keyword research and figuring out what to post and how to post it for your audience is the key to the success there.
And it's kind of like our Hive hack that we had this week on Instagram, where you don't just pick a hashtag like dog. You pick something that is like community-based, specific to the content that you're serving. So dogs of Instagram would be better. Now that's Instagram, but the same kind of applies to YouTube. You don't want to pick one generic keyword because you're one of a million people. You'll get lost in the shuffle.
You have the ability to select up to 500 keywords in the tags. And there's a tool if you're interested from a marketing perspective on using YouTube as a distribution channel and taking it seriously. It's called TubeBuddy. It's a very, very powerful tool. It lets you compare your performance versus other performance. It has end title tags and templates and bulk edits. You can sunset videos.
Yeah.
You can do just a ton of stuff with TubeBuddy.
I love that.
Sorry, this is for you, April. Hi, April.
Hi, April.
We're talking about ASMR.
What?
On today's Live at the Hive. Does this freak you out?
Paul's number 5 on the list.
This is really weird. Are you able to go to sleep yet?
Dan, we only have 10 minutes left.
I know.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways, we're
You guys.
where the doggos were the most popular. This may well be the least popular Live at the Hive ever.
You know what? It's kind of funny in this list, though, just looking through this article, is the popularity of Vine. Even though Vine's gone, you would think that most people have gone to TikTok, you know? But they're looking on YouTube for it. It's interesting to me. I don't know.
Yeah. No, Vine was always a phenomenon. Still seems to be. But that also goes to show that it's the style of videos. Yeah. Sorry, Matej.
Yeah, Matej's kind of.
Now everybody's chiming in, eh? Right. But Vine style videos are also very, very popular, right? So there's lessons to be learned in this, but I think the big takeaway is one, that keywords are extremely important. Your search is extremely important. And please, try to put the effort required into YouTube to at least have a decent presence there.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth it, guys.
All right. So let's get into what's working for the last 10 minutes.
Dive into it. Yep.
So we're talking about content experiences today.
Yeah.
What's going on?
That has to stop.
Yeah, we're killing that as me right now.
We all agree that this should now stop. So this has been an ongoing theme and topic for the last, say, 20 or so episodes that we do kind of circle back to this often because it is so important.
Yeah.
But specifically focusing on two areas are the importance of content marketing for e-commerce and the B2B space. You know, very often what we'll see with clients when they join us as a Shopify partner, and we're going to set up some Shopify people, right, Matt?
Yep.
To come in, and we'll do a Shopify takeover for a whole live and maybe go longer.
Yeah.
But typically what you'll see is, you know, the one paragraph product description with 2 photos, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Not really cutting it.
And then the ad that just has, you know, 3 features listed and buy now. Yeah.
Yeah.
These strategies are bound to fail is basically what it is. And actually we could, you know what, Matt, we can throw up the Neil Patel because that does relate to this because he does talk about e-commerce content strategy, right?
Yeah, and there's a great graph at the very top. I was saying that a conversion rate with content marketing is at 2.9% compared to 0.5% for sites not using it.
That's
so
right.
That speaks volumes, you know. I think when I first started in marketing, a lot of people were like, you know, it was going back to the topic we were talking about earlier about, you know, traditional advertising versus digital. And a lot of people were like, what's the value in doing content-based marketing? You know, how can you prove the ROI on that? And more, it's key to any marketing strategy that you have to invest in content because people want to understand what they're buying. They want to understand what you're teaching them. If it's, you know, B2B thing, what are you, you know, showcasing on your e-commerce site? Like they need to understand.
So marketing is about one thing. It's about getting attention. And how do you get attention in 2019? It's by content and telling great content stories. And you know, from 0.5 to 2.5% is a 5x increase in a business, right? So these are very real strategies that real businesses use to great effect. So if we just scroll down, there's a lot of different ways that you can implement content marketing, but I guarantee you one thing is that every business in 2019 needs to consider themselves a publisher.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need a good editor to decipher what's working, what's not working, and how you can optimize that too. Everybody's
I say this a lot around the office is everybody here is a content creator. I always have a hard time people saying like, but I'm not a writer. I'm like, you write all day long. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're communicating with people via email and via chat and via social and everything else. And so I think one of the things is like if you look at the different creative ways, the one that I really like is the breakdown of the hoodie.
Yep.
Right. So that's a nice simple piece of content, low design value. Like it's not complicated, is what I mean. But it helps to tell a story. You put that on the product page, right? And Matt, how many infographics have we created this between say August and now?
Probably it's close to almost 100. Like
it's got to be,
yeah.
It's got to be in or around that.
Especially the coming weeks, it's going to be well over 100.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just it's turning out that you talk about being like a producer of content and stuff like that, but you also have to understand what kind of content like your audience and what your demographic are going to consume. I mean, like you could write like 10 blog posts, for example, about your products and why they're amazing and stuff like that. But if that's not the type of content that like your audience is going to digest, maybe like a video would be better for you. Maybe an infographic that kind of breaks down your product might be better for you. You know what I mean?
I think too, a lot of businesses are too close to their products. So they'll write a blog or they'll write a product description. They'll be like this circuit to this, you know, I don't know what I'm saying. Maybe
the caboodle to the noodle to the XY gate.
They'll use terminology that the average consumer will not understand. So you have to use simplified language so that like you could explain it to your 6-year-old child at home.
Yep. So we do that. We do that a lot with especially our B2B clients that tend to be creators. They've created these systems. They know everything about them inside and out. And that makes it hard for them to simplify and to explain it to somebody that may be in the same industry but doesn't know their product, right? So yeah, there's definitely a lot to be said on that side of things. The other thing I'd like in this is there's various different ways that you can use content to tell stories. So Neil Patel in here, for example, he's saying offer an online course, which is effectively just a series of videos. This is an example of creating content. So we do stuff all week long. We run into these things all week long. And the genesis of the idea of this was we want to show people that this is what digital marketing really is like, both our clients and our peers in the industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like it's this never-ending learning cycle.
Yeah.
Because everything changes so fast. So video and Q&As. So for example, if you've got a product that's a complicated product, having a Q&A with someone that is an expert and bringing that back down like an interview style format in short doses can be really a great way to tell that story. And it's more content, right? Yeah. Let's see. There's a couple other good ones here.
Yeah, I forget. There was
The snowboard size chart too.
The snowboard size chart's a good one, yeah. For sure. Informational, useful,
personalized.
yeah, when people, when you're looking for these things, it's important online if you're doing e-commerce, and especially anything that would either be, a garment or something like a snowboard that has to be sized and fitted.
Yeah.
You've got to provide your customers with the ability to understand, like, the difference. Like, one of the things with kids clothing that I'm now intimately familiar with is there's no such thing as a size 2. There's like, you go buy a size 2 and from different stores and they're different sizes completely, right?
Totally. I know that pain.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I'm old and I'm forgetful.
This is the Alzheimer's version of Live at the
Okay,
Hive.
now I remembered. Shush.
Eric Drost is watching.
Remember when you were saying before we started today about you got a great piece of like lead gen marketing though, right? What are you laughing at?
You looked at me and said, you've got a great piece of content marketing. Oh. Anyways, this is definitely turning into like
this episode. Let me write this down. This is going to be the bloopers episode.
This episode of Honeypot Marketing is brought to you by Metamucil. Yeah. Eric Drost, who used to be with 570 News and is now a member of the Waterloo Regional Police, has joined us. Welcome, Eric.
Welcome.
Feel like I'm like a former broadcaster watching, and now it's like, you just saw that. This is what we do every single week. Sorry, just to get back on track, completely delete that last, minute? Sharing customer stories, and Stacey, you had mentioned this a little bit before, but user-generated content, telling stories, video testimonials, running a user-generated content campaign and asking people, to take a video. You bought my product. Take the video. Send it to me.
It's just as good as a product review, though. If somebody can actually see users using your product and validating it online, on YouTube, whatever, like, as a consumer myself, I trust that advocacy versus maybe I'm the president, I'm not only the president of this company, but
do not make fun of Cy Sperling. He's not only a client of the Hair Club for Men, he bought the company.
Oh, it's true.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that was Cy Sperling?
No, I had no idea.
The Hair Club for Men? That was his famous...
I remember the Hair Club for Men. I didn't know his name, though.
Can you Google Cy Sperling?
Yeah.
Throw up an image of Cy.
Jamie, throw him up.
He's back from the 80s, man. He was a client. He liked the company so much he bought it. He's a legend. To that point, customer stories and customer videos. We worked with a client that has a food cycle it's called. And we would get videos of people with iPhones, like iPhone style videos that were a little wobbly. Yeah. The lighting wasn't perfect, but they were sending in like, this is what it looks like. This is how I like it. This is how I use it. Those are the most powerful.
Yes.
It's 100% from a third party. It looks genuine. It is genuine. And there's no reason that anybody can't do that, regardless of B2B or B2C.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. So we have approached the 5 o'clock hour. We are going to drop this one so that the B2C e-commerce content marketing is interesting. We didn't get a chance to touch on the B2B side, but B2B on a different note, just to drop a couple of nuggets of ideas for you in terms of content marketing. podcasts. Get on podcasts related to your product. There are
Yes.
always, regardless of what you're selling, there will be related podcasts available to you, and they're great ways to distribute your marketing. Creating relationships with journalists and freelance writers. Matt does a lot of this now, and we're actually launching kind of a whole new program in 2019 as a focus. They are always looking for content, and if you help them and provide them with the angle and a lot of the story and provide an interview, you can get your product out there on sites like entrepreneur.com and forbes.com and a lot of these validating sites. Right? And again, always continually thinking about where can I create that content? How can I take, we've talked a lot about this, is taking one webinar. One webinar turns into so much content, it is ridiculous.
You get a lot of content from your webinars.
So,
everything from like cutting a webinar down to 2 minutes to even a 15-second teaser, like we were talking about earlier.
A
like,
transcript
so
blog.
Yes. You know, you could do an infographic with that too. You could take that. You could do a slide share on LinkedIn.
So we see a lot, and with our B2B clients, we always encourage like taking that content from that webinar and really dissecting it into the hundreds of pieces of content that you can create. Unfortunately, what we do see a lot of in the B2B space is these webinar programs that live behind walled gardens that you would never know that webinar is there. Unless you really searched it out, right?
And you're kind of like, you know, there is an audience for this content. Like, don't be shy.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
There absolutely is. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. It's 5:02 Friday. Everybody.
We're a little giddy.
It's a little giddy. It's a 4-day week. Stacy's
Yeah.
gonna go home and drink wine. Matt's gonna go home and
Matt's getting into the ice wine. Watch
ice
the
wine
hockey
sickles.
game tomorrow night. Habs versus Montreal.
Go Habs.
Go Habs, go. That's right.
Man's man. Having some ice wine and watching the game. Boys,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna give you a can of like 50 or OV just to balance it, but that's okay, Matt. You know what?
Yeah.
Brad Pitt popularized like getting manicures and pedicures back in the 90s.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of self-care.
That's right.
Gotta do it.
And a little bit of self-care and also a little bit of investment.